Modern therapy culture has made its way out of the therapist's office and seeped into everyday American life. Today, it's everywhere, in our politics, our workplaces, our social media feeds. Well, our next guest wrote the book on how this happened. He's psychotherapist Jonathan Alpert, and he is the author of the brand new book, Therapy Nation: How America Got Hooked on Therapy and Why It's Left Us More Anxious and Divided. Out tomorrow. Jonathan, welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Megyn, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. So tell me why you felt it was important to write this book.
Well, like you said, therapy is just everywhere, and it really should stay confined to the therapist office, but it's not. And back in 2012, I wrote an opinion piece for the New York Times called "In Therapy Forever, Enough Already?" And in that piece, I argued that therapy is actually hurting people in most cases, not helping people. And then fast forward to a few years ago when I started writing Therapy Nation, and I saw that this is a much bigger problem than I thought. It's dividing families, there's estrangement, it's affecting relationships, it's affecting dating, it's made its way into politics. So really, therapy is just everywhere, and that's why the book is called Therapy Nation. It's in many ways ruining this country. So I thought it was important to get that message out there.
So it used to be in the country, stiff upper lip, you're fine. You're fine. And then we kind of realized, well, that doesn't work for everybody. Some people actually do need to talk about their problems. And we had more psychotherapists pop up and more counseling pop up, and people started to use them. And how did we get from that to everyone is overly therapized and has got their prescriptions for their boundaries, their me time, their safe spaces, to where you can't even talk to some of these young people because they're so obsessed with their latest disorder or how something you've done has crossed some imaginary line that they've created in order to foster their own happiness?
Well, and you're spot on with that. Everything's a disorder. We have therapists that are pathologizing everything. Had a bad day at work? Well, you must have a toxic work environment. Your boss is a jerk? Well, he must be a narcissist if he's demanding. Or your boyfriend's not acting the way that you want him to? Well, he must be a narcissist as well. So we have therapists.
Every one of my friends who has an ex-boyfriend thinks he's a narcissist. Like, it's very funny. It's a common theme.
Well, and it's an overdone theme. And my profession is to blame for that. We have therapists who are using these clinical terms so loosely, and then it's migrated and found its way into social media. So we have, you name it, your favorite influencers out there just spewing absolute nonsense and labeling everyone as ADHD or toxic or narcissist or bipolar or borderline. So it's a huge problem in our society. I have patients that come in to see me for the first time and they say, I think I'm bipolar, or I think my girlfriend is borderline. And I said, well, why do you think that? Well, my influencer that I follow said that. And they put out these checklists, 5 signs that you might be ADHD, or 5 signs that your boyfriend's a narcissist. So again, this starts in my profession. I have colleagues that are putting this nonsense out there.
It's funny because I've told the audience many times that I've had the same therapist for 15 years now, 15 years. So I'm like, why does that work for me? The truth is we don't really do therapy. He's more like a life coach. He more gives me helpful tips for how to think about things in a different way. He never asks me questions about my childhood or my mother. It's not like that. It's like, he's very practical, and he likes cognitive behavioral therapy, where you're really just giving somebody a tool for different ways of looking at things. For me, that's been very effective. But oftentimes it is more of a blame session with these therapists who want to throw your parents. Like, I have a dear friend who's been through multiple therapists. And like, if I had a nickel for each one that tried to alienate her from her mother, and she loves her mother. She actually didn't seem to have a bunch of problems with her mother until the therapist started to create some.
Yeah, exactly. And Megyn, it sounds like you've got a great therapist, and there should be more therapists like that. But so many people have come to me and they've talked about their previous therapy, and how they just sat there and talked about their potty training days for years and years. And if you think about the time commitment, if you're going in weekly and spending a fortune on this, it's a complete, utter waste of time. And I think we don't need to look too much further than Woody Allen. He's the poster boy for lifelong, old school psychoanalysis. It simply does not work. And the approach that you mentioned, cognitive behavioral therapy, is much more about setting concrete goals and coming up with a plan to reach them. And that's the way that I practice as well. And that's most effective. That's how you're going to help with anxiety issues, depression, relationship problems, career performance issues. But to sit around and vent with your therapist, in the moment it feels good. And that's why people keep going back for more. But if you're not learning practical skills or gaining true insight or tools, then it's a complete waste of time.
Yes, yes. They're doing this to children too. Again, we're speaking with Jonathan Alpert, and the book is Therapy Nation: How America Got Hooked on Therapy and Why It's Left Us More Anxious and Divided. More anxious. They're both addressed, the division as well. But on the anxiety front, the children go through this too. The children show up at school, and now the big thing is for these teachers to make them talk about the worst thing that's ever happened to them. That's what the college essays are supposed to be about, something terrible that happened to you. And just the mere act of spending all your time thinking about that or trying to kick off your day at school, talking about that is not helpful.
Yeah, no, it's not helpful at all. And if we're so focused on all the things that are wrong with ourselves or society, how are we possibly going to move forward? When I work with people, I want them to tap into their strengths and what they're good at, not sit there and talk to me endlessly about all the things that are problematic in their life. Let's talk about what's good and how to build on that. But you're right, we see it in schools. After the most recent election of Donald Trump, Georgetown University held emergency sessions to help their students cope with the loss. And, I have to wonder, if Kamala Harris had won, would we have seen those same faculty and therapists providing mental health help for students? I highly doubt it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh, hell no.
academia is a huge problem in my profession. I mean, we have Columbia University that teaches their grad students a model of, well, you're either oppressed or you're the oppressor. I'm sorry, that just does not work. You're creating a monster when you do that. If you're training a therapist to
Yeah.
look at every patient as either oppressed or the oppressor, that's not going to move our society to a healthier place.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this was years ago when I was on Fox, but I think it was Columbia Law School too that canceled exams. If you were upset over, was it the Ferguson riot, whatever, like you have upset, you don't have to take exams because you're too upset, which of course is not how real life works. When you're an actual lawyer, you actually have to go into court and argue no matter what's happening in the news, no matter what's happening in your private life. And certainly if you cannot function in the face of being upset, you're not going to make a very good lawyer. It's a very contentious profession. Like, you actually do need to learn how to function under duress and when things are on fire around you. But that little microcosm could be expanded to our society right now, with parents creating the safe spaces, then the academic environments create the safe spaces, and then they get out into the world and they think the safe spaces are an entitlement.
Yeah, no, we have an accommodation culture that's running rampant. We have therapists who are writing notes for everything. Had a bad day, well, you need extra time on your test, on your exam at school. Therapists are accommodating, and you can even extend this into, other issues where therapists will just validate everything. If a young boy thinks he might be a girl or vice versa, they'll just validate and affirm that. And we've all seen the dangerous path that can go down. So it's time that therapists tap the brakes on all this and start to teach resilience and not just cater to every weakness or fragile aspect that they think their patient has.
Yes, yes, yes. This is like, I just feel like parents have totally misunderstood their job in some ways, because when your kid is home from 0 to 18 or whenever they're going off to leave you, that's your opportunity when they have problems to work with them so that they can learn how to solve them. You're in the backup supportive role so that they can learn that skill, as opposed to a chance for you to exercise your super savvy problem solving skills for them. It's like, at some point, they're not going to live with you. At some point, they need to do it on their own. Wouldn't you rather they practice while still with you, while you can be of help if it falls apart, or while they might want some input, but not somebody else to do it? And it's just, I can see lots of people doing this. They totally misunderstand it, and it's to their child's detriment. It's actually sad. You also write, as I point out in the book, Therapy Nation, it's called, by Jonathan Alpert, How America Got Hooked on Therapy and Why It's Left Us More Anxious and Divided, about the division and how, for example, TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, is a real thing. And it's like, you really are sick. Like, this thing could possibly wind up in the DSM-5. It might actually have a place to go in there.
Yeah, Megyn, my favorite topic, TDS. And I did write a piece in the Wall Street Journal about that. And I made it very clear that this does not exist right now. It's not in the DSM. And I can't imagine that we'll ever see it in the DSM. But the pathology that I'm seeing in patients resembles a lot of other disorders. There's a hyperfixation on Trump. They can't sleep because they're thinking about Trump. I've even had patients who can't possibly take a vacation. They'll say, well, how can I take a vacation knowing that Trump's in office? So it's just absolutely ridiculous. I've seen relationships broken up because of Trump. I recall one person, he posted that iconic photo of Trump getting up after being shot in Butler. And then his significant other saw that picture that he posted. And then they went to their couples therapist. And the couples therapist said, well, what are you going to do about posting that picture? You have to do something about that. You can't possibly put such a picture up there. And my patient was like, well, what do you mean? It's just an iconic photo. I'm not a very political person. I just happen to like the photo. And the therapist made him feel like there was something wrong with him. So we have therapists that are acting as social justice warriors rather than clinicians. It's absolutely absurd what's going on.
TDS seems like a very, very bad affliction. Truly, like I'd rather, I think, have OCD. I'd rather have tics. I just feel like, because once you have the TDS, it ruins and runs your life. Everything is put through the prism of Trump. How is Trump to blame? What am I going to do about Trump? And it's very unhealthy to spend that much time thinking about your president.
It is. And, just to look at the other side, I've had plenty of patients who disliked Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, but they didn't sit up at night thinking about him. They certainly never wanted those people to be killed. And the difference is, on the left, I have patients, whether they're in their 20s, 50s, 60s, and even older, who actually want Trump to be killed. And, that's just, to me, sick, pathologic thinking. You should never want a president to be shot. And, all you have to do is look at our history and the unrest that this could cause if it ever happened. But they're not looking at it like that. Their hatred towards Trump is so intense. Like, they can't see the bigger picture.
Is it something about him that's doing that to them? Like, he's just too combative and he's too strong? Or is it something about them that's doing that to them?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think it's probably both. One of the things that I think it is, they still, all these years later, just cannot believe that Trump is the president. Trump, the entertainer, Trump, the businessman. And they question, well, how could someone like that become president? And they don't understand it. They just haven't accepted it. And after Trump was elected the first time, I had patients who were telling me they were going to flee the country, withdraw their investments. The world is ending. The country's ending. Of course, none of them left the country. And then that mentality, those beliefs became hardened. And then fast forward to the second election, and it's even worse because now they want Trump dead. And look, I don't care. Like, you should never hope for the president to be shot, whether it's Biden or Trump or any president. And if you look back,
but what do you think? I was just going to say, again, we're speaking with Jonathan Alpert. His new book is Therapy Nation. I don't understand, though. Like, as somebody who's had multiple tussles with President Trump, when he's president, when he wasn't, I never got the TDS. And I look at the people who get the TDS, and it almost seems like Ebola. You know, like if it strikes, it's really unfortunate. Once you get it, it's very deadly. It's very tough to get rid of it. The secret is not to get it, but it's not going to strike everybody. Why are there so many people out there who can talk about Donald Trump by saying, this is something he's doing that's good. This is something I think that's bad. And now I'm going to go on with my life. Here's the rest of the news, etc. And there are others who he takes over, like Rosie O'Donnell. She blames her herpes on Donald Trump. She moved out of the country. Ellen DeGeneres moved out of the country. Like they get Bruce Springsteen, Robert De Niro. Like it's taken over their art, their personality, their lives. It's truly, it's like, what? How can some still function in this world? And even people like I just had, you know, some things I don't like about him and things I do like about him. But there are people who really can't stand him who still don't have TDS. They don't think about him all the time. They don't make their life decisions about it. So what is it? Like, it's genuinely, do you think these people are slightly untethered to begin with?
Oh, absolutely. You know, so many people on the left, they love to have a villain. They need someone to hate. And, you know, look at Luigi Mangione. I mean, he's probably the poster boy for this grievance culture. But yeah, many people need someone to hate. I would argue that a lot of people on the left that are so consumed by Trump, the figure, maybe they just don't have enough going on in their life outside of that.
Yes.
You know, whether it's a career, family, friends, hobbies, religion, whatever it is. There are so many things that are much more important than Trump, and friends and family should absolutely come before Trump. And unfortunately, we have mental health experts on national TV saying if you don't like the way that your friends or family voted, just cut them out. You don't need to attend their Thanksgiving dinner. And that's the advice that we have on shows like MSNBC and the like. They're dividing our country. That's my subtitle, how they're dividing this country. And that's not the advice I would ever give. I would say, look, you should rise above politics. Like, where do you connect? If only we could get back to the days of maybe when Reagan was in office, neighbors could still get along despite having different signs on their front yard for whether it's Reagan or someone else. But we're not. We're so divided. And again, a lot of this I talk about in my book, how my profession is responsible for that. I actually know therapists who refuse to treat someone if they voted for Trump. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
No kidding. Can you imagine going into the ER, maybe wearing a MAGA hat, and the doctor turning you down?
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, it is
I mean, that's truly a
disgusting.
violation of the Hippocratic Oath. Again, the book is Therapy Nation, well worth your time. The author is Jonathan Alpert, my guest now. This discussion reminds me of this woman we featured on the show a couple of years ago, speaking of the young people, like signing on to every disorder, which somehow makes them feel good about themselves as opposed to bad about themselves. This was April 2023. It was in New Mexico. A woman was pulled over for driving on the wrong side of the road. She was clearly intoxicated and accused of such, and she played every victim card in the book. Look at this soundbite.
I have like really bad social anxiety and stuff.
I get you.
This person.
Back here, please. Miss Perry?
Well, I'm non-binary, so
Okay. What do you go by?
it's Kai.
How can I refer to you tonight? Kai?
Kai.
Okay. Hey, I'm smelling alcohol.
I know.
How much have you consumed tonight?
Like probably 3 drinks.
I need to run you through some tests right now. Stand facing me, please.
But I just want you to know that I also have very bad social anxiety.
You and me both.
Okay.
Okay? Any recent head trauma, traumatic brain injuries, anything I need to know about?
Mental, yes.
Focus on my finger, please.
I am. You're just like trying to intimidate me.
I don't know how I'm trying to do that. This is the test.
As you know, as an indigenous person and there's a bunch of going around, I'm sorry, but it's just for me to be on my toes.
I get you.
Can you remember that I told you that I'm non-binary?
Yeah, I'll try my hardest. I'll refer to you as Kai, right?
Yes.
Perfect. I need to know if you have any injuries or anything that would prevent you from doing a standard walk or turn tonight.
Mental health.
Any physical injuries?
Mental, yeah. Can you not call me ma'am, please?
I'm trying my hardest.
Okay, well,
Okay.
it means a lot to me.
I'm trying my
I don't
hardest.
feel like it means
Okay, we
so.
get it.
Okay.
She goes on to say she suffers from generational trauma, Jonathan Alpert. We've got lots of these people.
Well, yes. Go to Trader Joe's, go to your local coffee shop. They're everywhere. Look, first of all, the cop was very respectful of her dozens of disorders, so good for the cop. But being non-binary, having social anxiety, being a hot mess, or whatever else she stated, does not give you a pass on driving drunk. So
Yes, they'll try anything.
They will.
Well, I mean, it just puts the lie to these fake disorders,
Oh.
as does the book Therapy Nation. Check it out, How America Got Hooked on Therapy and Why It's Left Us More Divided by Jonathan Alpert. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Back
Megan.
tomorrow.
Thank you so
See you
much.